Okay, we are going to draw a big head cartoon. The head is going to be very large in comparison to the body. So I'm going to start with just a nice big circle. Normally when I'm drawing the human face, I start with an oval. But in cartoons, or like if you're exaggerating the head, I like to go with more of a circular shape. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a horizontal and a vertical line, just breaking the head into even quadrants or even fourths. So they just should go right through the middle. You know, after I draw these, I always feel like that vertical one's on a diagonal. Maybe I live my life on a diagonal. Okay, there we go. I'm going to draw those again. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a vertical eye line, kind of centrally located on each side. Nose line is going to be halfway from that horizontal eye line to the chin. Move that up a little bit. And then the lip line a little bit lower than that. And hairline up towards the top. When you start with eyes, start on your weak side. So I'm right-handed, so I'm going to start on the left. And we are going to start with circles. I'm obviously working on an iPad, so it's a little easier. I'll do a hand-drawn circle with you guys. We're starting actually with the iris of the eye instead of starting with an eyelid. And the reason I want to do that is because I sort of start from the inside out with detail. It makes it easier when you break the eye up into separate lines to make two eyes that look the same. This also can give you a more convincing eye shape. Instead of like the basic football with like a weird eye on the inside, if you start with your iris and your pupil, then they can be more of like the shape you want them, also more consistent. When I draw the eyelid, I break it into 3 lines on the top. So there'll be a diagonal at the middle, leading down to the tear duct. And then there's like kind of a horizontal, but it curves just slightly over the top. This one's going to overlap the top of the iris. You shouldn't see the top of someone's iris unless they're really like surprised or scared or something. I'm just going to continue curving that line down until it hits that horizontal eye line. On the bottom, this line might slightly overlap the iris and just connect up at the corner like that. Okay, eyebrows. I'm going to do my left side again first because that's my weak side. I'm right-handed. So whichever is your opposite of what you write with, you should start on that side. Eyebrows are usually a little bit wider towards the center of the head, near the nasal bone. And then they get a little bit narrower out towards the edge. Sometimes they're kind of angular like this. Sometimes they're just perfectly rounded like that. So however you want to draw those. If you draw eyelashes, just be warned that it will look like you're wearing mascara. So if that's something you want, you can draw on eyelashes. And for the nose, a lot of people struggle with noses. So I'm just going to try to show you a way to keep it really, really simple. So I start with just drawing a round or a circle for the tip of the nose. And then I darken in like a little lima bean shape on each side for the nostril. And then I draw like a letter C on each side, also for the nostril. Now on that circle that we drew in, I go in and I erase the sides of the circle, like this, and then just add a bridge of the nose. The bridge should only be on one side or the other, because it's usually only seen by a shadow. So you don't want to add the bridge on both sides. Sometimes if people get too carried away with the bridge, they end up looking like a tiger or something. So just keep the bridge simple. All right, for your mouth, you're going to draw a low, flat letter M, and it's going to look like as if it's been stepped on or squished. So right above this line, I'm going to start with a tiny little V and then transform it into a letter M. I'm going to have this mouth slightly curve up at the corners so it looks like this face is smiling. I'm going to do 2 little lines at the end of the mouth, and then I'm going to do a dip for the upper lip and a little bit of a wider dip for the lower lip. The ears should line up with the eyes and the nose. And then your hairline should drop down to meet the ears. Now, in drawing different types of hair, there are a lot of different types of hair. If you have curly hair, let me draw a couple of heads over here. If you have curly hair, don't do hair like this, okay? Instead of drawing each individual hair, what we're going to do, we're going to draw the outlines of the hair, like the inside and the outside, okay? Then you would go in and erase that scalp that's showing in here. You could add in a few like individual locks of hair, but that's basically it. I will show you straight, curly, wavy, kind of like boy hair, girl hair, all that business. So for boy hair, what's going to happen, you'll have different shapes for hairline, so you might know what your hairline looks like. If you have really curly hair, you might even want to give that a wavy or curly hairline. If boys have a part in their hair, you'll do a V up at the top, and then you'll draw the hair going to the left and the hair going to the right. Boys, if you have straight hair, then you'll have more of a straight hairline. Oh, and by the way, boys, you'll erase your scalp as well, because that hair is going to cover up the top of your head. You won't see the very top of your scalp unless you're totally bald. Okay. Boys, if you want to draw in like individual, like little pieces of hair, you can just draw like little triangles coming down from there. I'm going to erase the scalp. Actually, you know what? I'm going to erase part of this hairline and do hair that drops below it too. So I'm going to have hair that comes below the hairline, so then I'm going to erase the hairline. Again, boys, you could draw in pieces to give the hair like a feel of some texture inside there if you'd like to. For ladies, you have lots of different hairstyles as well as like short hair and long hair. So if you have wavy or curly hair, let's say you have big waves, you're going to do larger waves for the wavy hair. If you have really curly hair, you'll do tighter waves, okay? So on this side, I'll do like a big loose wave. And then on this side, I'll do like a really curly, okay? If you have shorter hair, then you might want to end it like kind of where it hits the shoulder or before the shoulder. Or some of you might even have hair that ends up by the ear. Then, of course, your hair covers up the top of your scalp, so you will erase that. And then you can add in some like individual curls if you want. Give the hair some texture. For curly hair, sometimes you might want to draw like little loose curls that kind of break away from the rest. For straight hair, you might even have a little bit of wave even with straight hair just by the way it like lays over your head. Again, girls, if you want a part in your hair, you can start with a V. Yeah, for long hair, you're going to want to obviously take it down past the shoulders. For short hair, you'll want to end it up here. And that's basically it. Oh, girls, I'm going to show you about headbands. If you're doing a headband, you might want to keep your scalp in there at the top and just add another line for a headband. Ladies, if you're going to do a bow is basically just like a circle, and then you draw like these shapes on the edges. If you want to get really detailed, you could even draw like the openings in the bow and some wrinkles. You could draw like the tails of a bow if you have like your hair tied in a bow, I suppose. Oh, ladies, if you want to draw a braid, actually there's two kinds of braids because men have braids sometimes. And there's braids that go along the scalp, and then there's like loose braids that kind of sit beside. So for like men who have braids, their hair is usually braided along the scalp. Like you'll see parts kind of like this, and you'll see the braid sort of sit on top of the scalp like so. When I draw a braid, I basically draw wavy lines on the edges and then kind of like zigzags in the middle. So same would go for like braids on the scalp. If you have a long braid that goes beside your head, that's when you're going to draw in like this shape coming down from there, a hair tie, and like a tuft of hair at the bottom. And let's see, am I forgetting anything? Oh, maybe a ponytail. So ponytails, if you're drawing pigtails, those will go like straight out to the side. But for a ponytail, you might see it a little bit at the top and maybe a little bit at the side. So if you wanted to draw in like a bow or something coming up from there, that would be for a ponytail. Okay, the next thing I want to draw is glasses. You know what? Let me erase some of these heads. Yeah, I'm going to need to erase these ones down here. I got a little way of the body. We're going to draw a body pretty soon. Sorry, braid people. Okay. You know what? Let me bring those back. I'm actually just going to move them. Let me just select these guys. Oop. So I think I'm going to move them. Okay. There we go. I'm just going to move these guys over here and make them a little smaller. Okay. All right. So what was I saying? Oh, glasses and freckles. Okay. So add whatever kind of hair you want. If you're going to do glasses or freckles, glasses are sometimes rectangular and they're sometimes round. So you just kind of have to decide whatever shape yours are. Draw in that shape. Maybe make it a little bit thicker for the rim. Sometimes the rims are thicker at the top than at the bottom. Draw two lines going over the nose. I'm going to draw a round glass on this side, or lens. And then two lines to bring them back to meet the ear, like that. If you have freckles, be careful with freckles. If you're tracing this in Sharpie, you definitely don't want to do freckles in Sharpie. You want them just to be a shade or two darker than the skin tone. So later on, if you're doing like a peach skin tone, you can color them with like a tan. If you have a tan skin tone, you can use a light brown. If you're doing a light brown skin tone, you can use a dark brown. Dark brown skin, you can just press harder with that colored pencil or even use a black. Okay, so bodies. If we're gonna draw in a tiny little body, what we're gonna do is start with the neck. Sorry, let me darken that. A little circle body, little tiny legs and feet, little hands. We could just do little mittens. And that's basically it. I like to do a line where the shirt meets the pants and then maybe a collar, maybe erase this line. And then you guys can add on whatever other details you want to the clothing. Okay, I think that's it, guys.